Good evening. Good evening. This is Spirit Journey. It is April 1st, 2019, and it is 10:35 p.m. I'm just turning off the lights right now in my room. I'm using my new mic and recorder, so I hope the audio is better than before. I love good audio. Well, I had a very interesting day today. It's very relaxing. I got up, took a really nice shower. I fed my dogs. I watered my plants. And then, let's see. I went and I got groceries. And I made this really, really nice vegetable stew. I'm mostly vegetarian. I will eat eggs and dairy. Let's see now. Yeah, it was very good. I used let's see. I when I go shopping, I just kind of like wing it what I want to get for the veggies. Sometimes I get a thought in my mind and say, I want to experiment with this. So I made this really, really tasty vegetable soup. And I think I might do an ASMR tomorrow to feature this new dish that I made. It really came out great. It's a real comfort food. Yes. So after I ate, my day kind of started late. I've been getting up later and later, or at least it takes me longer and longer to get ready. Yeah, so my first meal, I started eating around, what's that, 4 o'clock? Yeah, about 4 p.m. And then I got myself ready, got my dogs ready for us to go out. And I went to a place called the Hudson Yards. I heard about it. It just sounded weird, the name. Well, today was my third visit, and I like it. I met 2 guys there. One was, let's see, the first guy I met, his name was Miguel. And he was in this store that I went in. Really nice. I've never heard of the brand, and I don't even remember the name of the brand. But what was nice, like, they had a lot of leather jackets. Very, very expensive. Yeah, they had short leather jackets, a very soft leather, and it was just a lot of money. But I like looking. It was a very minimal look, but it had a nice chic edge to it. But anyway, the guy Miguel, I brought my dogs Lily, Lilac, and Lavender, and people got a really big kick out of them. Sometimes they can get really animated, especially Lily. Yeah, Lily, all my dogs are with me right now in my bed. Yeah, my doggies sleep with me. And Lily's right by my side. And the other 2, they're by my feet. Well, Miguel had, he noticed the dogs. He was just about to leave. He had packages. and he started, paying, touching, petting the dogs and everything. He was nicely dressed, and then he asked the dogs' names, and what else? He just chit chat a little bit. And what was interesting, like when he was going to leave, he he gave me his name. He says, "Hey, my name is Miguel," and he put his hand forward to shake my hand. I said, "Why?" I gave him my name, and what was interesting, he when he was to release my hand from shaking it, he like, like he took his hand and then he stroked, like he, how do you say it? Like he stroked, like he has his thumb and his pointer finger sliding down my hand, across my middle finger. And I said, "Whoa." I did not expect that from him. Yeah, I think it's from South America. Yeah. And then when I was leaving the store, no, it was another store. There was a second store, I think it was. Yeah, it was another store. That was the leather goods store. And then the other place, oh, what was the other place? It'll probably come to me. But either way, that second place had a lot of, like in the front, it has these plants, and it gives you an outdoorsy feel, and then you continue going in to the store. And yeah, and right by there where all the plants are situated, I guess he's like security, but he's not dressed like security. He's wearing regular clothes, very casual, and his name was George. And we had a nice talk, and very, very friendly, and we talked about, he's a local fellow. He lives in Brooklyn. And what else? And somehow we got to the conversation with foods. Oh, I remember. I told him this was my third visit. And he said, "Oh, yeah, you should also try the restaurants. We got a lot of restaurants up here, blah, blah, blah." And somehow we got to, the food isn't the same. How it used. We started talking about pizza. And he loves his pizza too. And I said, "Well, I'm kind of old school, and they don't make pizza like how they used to, and blah, blah, blah." And and then he said, "Yeah, I'm old school too. But I live in Brooklyn, and, we got good pizza in Brooklyn, and the pizza here, I try not coming here if I don't have to. I only come here to work, and then I go home, and I, do everything in Brooklyn." But it was a nice conversation, and it was very reminiscent. It's nice to meet other New Yorkers who were born and raised here, or at least lived here for a long time, and they remember how things were. Now, I wouldn't want to have to go back in time in the 1980s, but they had the best pizza. Oh yeah. Now they have different types of people making the pizza. They have people from South Asia type, or from Latin America. And the way, I guess, making things, it's a little different. But back in the day when I had the pizza, they mostly had Italians. And who else? Or people from Greece. They know about the tomato sauce and everything, and I love that. And that cheese, it's different now. Everything about the pizza now acts different. The cheese doesn't melt like cheese. They really don't put tomato sauce on the pizza. And it's not really made with love. I mean, one time I went to a place nearby where I live, and I said, I would like if you can put extra cheese and spinach on it. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't do that here. I mean, it's unheard of. I'm saying it's unheard of. You add a little extra cheese or, whatever topping, and it's ridiculous. So the whole pizza culture from the past is not what they do now. It's awful. So sometimes I get very reminiscent about things like that, about the past, the 1980s and the pizza. I mean, they made pizza. It was a place called Ray's Pizza. Ray's, there are many in the city, but the one that I ate at, I think it used to be on the corner of 14th Street and 6th Avenue. And then there was another one on like West 4th Street or 8th Street, also on 6th Avenue. But I think it was really the 14th Street. They made, I mean, it was awesome. They gave you big slice. They were the most expensive Ray's Pizza. They gave you a really, really, really big slice. And then it had tons of cheese and the sauce. It was just awesome. Awesome. I think their pizza was $2 a slice. $2 or $2.50 a slice. And then there was another place. Theirs were, was it 50 cents or $1? Yeah, the cheapest place was it's called St. Mark's Pizza. I think theirs were, I forget now. Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, it's between like $1.50 or $1. It was considered cheap back then, and then Ray's Pizza was a little more expensive. But yeah. Oh yes, now, that same type of pizza, that for one slice it's like $4. Yeah, everything is up, it's more expensive, but it's not as good. Not as good. They don't believe in that, what do you call that tomato sauce. Yeah, I miss that. So, after the Hudson Yards, I walked back home with my little dogs. Yeah, by the time I left the mall, it was already dark. Yeah, I left, I left home around 5 o'clock or 5:30, and I got back home around 8:30. Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't realize I was going to be there that long, but it was nice. So I fed the dogs when I got back home, and then I just had some tea. And then I started watching a program on YouTube. I do like YouTube. I love watching some of the videos. I discovered this new YouTuber. At least this was the first time. It was last week when I first discovered her on YouTube. Yeah, I don't want to give the name or anything like that, but she's a young woman. She's now 23 years old, and she likes to travel. And I'm so excited for her. So very excited for her. And I watched several of her videos. She's very talented as a video maker. She makes, the music, how she arranges the video. She's really talented. Yeah, I think these are people who are in their early 20s. They are so savvy. They're very creative. I'm very impressed with their abilities in creating content, just how they edit the videos. I'm really impressed. What I find really exciting about this YouTuber that I discovered about a week ago, she travels. She travels all over the world. And the first time I ever traveled outside of the US, I was just a little older than her. I was 24. Yes, I had just turned 24. And for her, she's 23 now. I think she started traveling 4 years ago. Yeah, it could have been 4 years ago or 2 years ago. And I'm just really excited for her, because I think back now in my life and thinking back of when I first traveled. Things were so different back then. That was in the 1980s when I first went out the country. And things back then were so limited socially for me, I feel. People were really into what they expected you. Like if you are from a particular race or nationality, people had expectations that you're not to go above their expectation of you. And that includes family. People would, I was questioned. Well, why you want to go over there? It's like they made you feel like you were committing the worst sin ever. And I was just visiting a place. Now these other people, they traveled. So why is it different for me traveling? So I always felt the resistance from society and family. I always had to make excuses. Like I felt I had to defend myself. And I'm really no different than anyone else. I'm more on the quiet side. And I always was curious about why society was set up the way it was. How come some people could do this, but you can't? How come it's okay to do that, but not this? I always felt the stigma. I would say, let me clarify. I started to feel the social stronghold on me once I entered the college and the business world. Everything was like, I felt restricted. And I always wanted to self-expression. And this YouTuber that I discovered shared a lot about herself. And she lived in New Jersey. And she lived in an area where there were a lot of white people. There were very few black people there. And I was surprised because, see, she's a young person. And she's been out of school, for about 5 years. And so, let's say you go into high school, so 4 years prior to that. So she's just entering high school 9 years ago. And 9 years ago, the society was a little bit more savvy with regard to race relations in the Northeast. I mean, it has its stigma, but she shared something. I appreciate her honesty about her navigating in this school, being a black woman, and she also has other siblings, and she had a brother that went to the same school, I believe. He's like a year younger than her, and she shared how, like, she was homeschooled for a, her, from elementary school to junior high, and then after that she went to a regular, like, a high school, and it was a very racist school. The whites there in the part of New Jersey that she lived in was very, very racist against her. Now, she seemed like a really nice person. Now, why I'm sharing this is because, see, if you see her now, that she didn't let life destroy her. Now, my growing up, race, let's say 40 years back, the relationship between whites and blacks were very, very striated. Now, I did, the area in New York City where I lived, high school, it was extremely integrated. It was located in the area where people of, it was surrounded by different neighborhoods, different races and nationalities. And many of these people are newer immigrants. And in contrast, I think where the other YouTuber lived, these were more generational people that lived in that part of town for several generations. That's what I pick up. And so she was sharing how the people met, the males, the boys and the girls, how they treated her. And they would come up to her and say, "You're ugly." And I was horrified to hear her share that, for someone to go up to someone that you don't know. And it really spoke a lot to me. What it spoke to me, now, I never had a white person come up to me and insult me in terms like that. In New York City, they're more, and in my travel, they're a little bit, they work a little differently. But for Jersey, they were very quick with the tongue to go out their way and make fun of her hair, just her as a being. And that is, and here her being someone who was homeschooled. So there was a socialization issue. She wasn't informed about how white people may treat her. Again, I guess she's sheltered. She's at home, a very conservative family. And then she's out in the so-called real world and experiencing ugliness. And what was interesting also about the story, what she was saying, is that even though she had a brother, they didn't do the same thing to the brother. They didn't insult him and call him ugly or this or that. And again, maybe they're afraid of black men, that they might think they're going to beat them up. But the white boys and the white girls did it to her. And another incident, she was saying that she had liked this particular person, and it was a white male, white guy in the school, and he said, "Ew, you're ugly. I don't go out with black girls." And it's like, wow, what a, wow. I would have been devastated. But I think back that I realize that, see, that white people, white student, children, high school people, I believe that they are taught from their society or their families that to target the black female, the white male is taught, don't associate with black females, don't bring them home. And the white girl, oh my goodness, sometimes I get my terms confused. And the white girls seem to be insecure and like to verbally insult. And I realize, my instinct is telling me something. Like, she did describe what the white girls looked like in her school. They were very short and very petite in frame, while with this person is a little bit above average in height. And she was slightly fuller, but considered slim. And so you have a female, and then verbally attacking a black female, and there's not that many blacks there in that school. So why the attack on the black female? One thing, the black female has a black womb. I mean, I'm not saying literally, but the womb, historically, in the Americas, that your status of the status of the child is the status of the mother. And so, having a black female, the status of her is what white society wants to put on her. And so, even if she has a child with a white male, still, you are who your mother is and her status. So they're telling her, excuse me. So they're telling the black female she is not welcomed, and that they're teaching the white males, do not associate with her. And the the white female, they're told to deprecate her. But the black people, that we are the source of life, and that they don't like to be reminded how special we really are. That out from the black woman, all the races that you see out there, including white people, the basis of their genetics comes from Africa. It is a jealousy that the white European has against the black female. And it's amazing because, see, in contrast, the brother, they didn't attack him verbally. And I thought that was interesting. And I know someone who was raised in a part of New Jersey where I think she was raised. And it was interesting that this person that I know was into sports. And so it seems like for the black male in high school settings that they may be considered better in sports, and a lot of money is made through sports in schools. So it seems like the guys are given less slack than the black female counterpart. It's really interesting. But why I'm sharing this story is that even though my high school I went to was integrated and I didn't have problems with whites in the school, but when I got into the real world, the business world, a lot of animosity. There was no the white men, and it's that white American men have this fear of black women. And so it would be really interesting to know what are white families teaching white boys about black girls. I remember hearing something. I don't even want to repeat it. But it's something, because historically white men were sexually involved with the black female, but they did it in secret and illicit. Okay? And I think the white female knows the real beauty of the black woman's body. See, in my opinion, indigenous people, and that includes black people, we're sturdier in build. Our skin is more resilient to the elements. Our body frames are we're stronger. And when we take care of our health and everything, we can outlive our white counterpart. So she knows instinctively that we are physically stronger and more resilient. And I think that bothers her. So this video is not about slam dunking white people or any race. It's more of an observation. See, her graduating was only 5 years ago. And how, for some people who are very sensitive, and I was a very sensitive individual growing up and still very sensitive, some people want to venture out in the world. You go to high school, you just want to crumble, and maybe you might overeat because everyone, the boys and the girls, calling you ugly. And you know what else? This was considered a very attractive woman. This is a very pretty woman. Really nice, very exotic, a very pretty individual. And so it shows you about people's own insecurities. And as I get older, I'm seeing the insecurity that many white people have. Many white women can at times reveal insecurities. And again, there are hardly any blacks in her school. I think she said that it might have been a total of 7 blacks in the whole entire school. I could be wrong. It could be even less than that. But see, again, some people could crumble under this verbal attack. And so here, she didn't let it get to her. And here, her other sibling is a high fashion model. So you hear what I'm getting at. So you have white people young white people who are taught to insult someone's looks. And again, this is a high fashion model, very poised and everything. So it's fear. See, fear makes some individuals verbally attack other people. And so I'm amazed at the media now. See, now it seems like in the media you have more black people who are in front of the camera. And it's very refreshing to see this, but it's also I find very interesting because now you see a lot of white people around these individuals. And again, this young girl she just turned 23, and in her short lifetime, this verbal animosity that she received from white boys and girls, high school age people. And so when I watch people now in the media, and it's like everybody wants to be your friend now. And I find that quite amusing. So also, now this particular YouTuber, she did share the story of how she got to go overseas. And she had a family member that was living overseas, and she got tired of college. She was becoming aware of certain things, and she had to reevaluate her life based on this new information she received. And so I guess to internalize, to process this new information, she asked to accompany her relative, her sibling. And she was able to meet other people, and she learned foreign language. And then at some point, she became a YouTuber and created wonderful videos. And she's doing very well. I'm not sure how long she had her YouTube channel, but really not that long. And she travels all over the world. See, I've met people, where I live, I meet people from all over the world. New York City attracts people from the Caribbean, Central and South America, people from Europe, Asia, yeah, all over. And also from Africa. How could I forget that? A lot of people from Africa. And so I notice with some people I should say many people that I meet who are from other countries, that they start to make up things, I notice. And they make up a whole story and things, and I know that they're BSing me. And I did have an opportunity to travel, and not necessarily in the countries where they're from, but I start to get certain things, they start to act out. And I see that I think they're misreading me. And that they feel that they have to make themselves bigger than they really are. And when you meet all these different types of people, you start to really learn what's genuine and what's not. And so here you have this young girl, and when I was her age, I was very, very inexperienced about life. I too, like her, was very, I don't want to say isolated. I mean, I lived in this, you know, in one of the outer boroughs of New York City, and then we all work in Manhattan. But I was naive about people and where they're from and what's going on in other countries. I just took a face value. So I was always taught to believe what people tell me and not to question. But now I start to question. And now I'm learning the games people do when they meet other people. That people really don't love themselves. They really don't like themselves. And they want to appear bigger than they are. They may pretend to have money when they don't. And so here you have a young woman who is now 23 years old, and she's been to over 100 countries. When she goes back home to the US and meet these people, foreigners that are living in the US, they cannot deceive her the same way how they did that to me. You know what I'm saying? That she knows by experience what it's like to be in a particular country, what it's like to use their transportation, what it's like to go food shopping, you know, all these different social events. So I'm happy for her, I'm thrilled for her, because see, she could have let the bad talk that was told to her in high school, she could have let it crumble her. But she took the initiative, and she's an independent thinker. And I see a lot of qualities about her is actually similar to myself. And I think that's why I'm captivated by watching her. She is embracing who she is as a woman. And I admire that she was willing to share information that I thought was, would be considered very embarrassing. So that shows that she's overcome it, I believe. And I think even her white counterpart, who are of the same age as she, has not been to all these countries that she has. And I think with her traveling, it's really going to develop her as a human being, that she has so much more. Think of each country as a tool of information, something that will be used whether at that moment or at a future date, that's going to fortify her to become even more powerful as an individual. See, one thing I'm learning now with YouTube and social media. See, years ago, at least with my growing up, that things seemed to me, at least emotionally, so limiting. And I always felt trapped. And so when I did have the opportunity to travel by myself at 24, I felt liberated. And it's only when I had to come back, I only went away for 1 week. But I said, yes, I like this. So here, this YouTuber is going all over the world. And it's going to improve her confidence. I could see her as because it's YouTube and social media, It goes over all over the world. She's international. She has subscribers that are from all different countries. Countries that don't even speak English. And they subscribed to a channel. And so racism for her, this is what I want to get at. See, racism for her is meaningless because, see, she's not letting them define her. She's above them. She is international. And she's not relying on the approval of her peers. See, she's independent like I am. She does things alone or with, she might have a chaperone, her brother as a chaperone for her. See, she's traveling overseas. But outside of that, she's an independent thinker. She travels, she's learning about other people. I could see her really, I'm amazed at the potential this woman has. And that with social media, she's able to reach out and what they call branding. See, all those terminologies are new for me. I'm probably old enough, probably the same age as her mother. I just get the impression that her mother is around my age. And even though I've been in the military, I still see there's so much more places that I want to go to. And I would love the ability to travel more. I love to maybe one day have my own property. I love the idea of traveling with my little dogs. I don't know how I would do that. So anybody watching this audio stream, audio file, I should say, yeah, how could I bring my dogs with me? I don't want to leave them alone, I don't want to bring them to like a kennel and to be watched over. I want them in a home setting. Yeah. And so I would love to find out how to do this. I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to go outside of the box. Because see, I know that New York City isn't the world. I really thought New York City was everywhere. And I'm wrong. And I'm very happy that I'm wrong. See, every location, even within the same country, has a domain. It has a mentality. Not every domain is for a person. I think this young YouTuber, I really believe that this YouTuber is beyond her place of birth. I think she is going to be a citizen of the world. She's beyond just one nationality. She belongs to the world. I like her tenacity. She's really interesting to watch. I'm really happy that she's tapping into her womanhood. She knows what she's doing. Yeah, she's savvy. Wow. here are many years her senior. And it puts a smile on my face because it makes me feel that there's hope out there. And maybe I'm much older than her. But you know that if I'm not able to make it, I am thrilled to know that someone else from the Black community is going outside of the comfort zone. See, I met Black people growing up. When I was in the, this was maybe close to, yeah, this was 30 years ago. And when I went away, just for a week, and the attitude of some of the Black people, it was a Black woman. We were all about the same age. She might have been just a little younger. I was in my 20s. And she said, "You're not supposed to go there." And I look at her. See, that's what I realize in America. That, see, Black people, or I should say some Black people, or many Black people in America, are taught to to be limited, to deny yourself certain things, to put limitations on yourself. So I was raised like that. I was always told, no, you're not good enough. I too was told I was ugly. And I realized people like those are people who are actually insecure with themselves. See, a real secure person encourages people. A real mature, balanced person doesn't say you shouldn't be going there. That's not for you. See, a real secure person would say, hey, go for it. The sky's the limit. You know what I'm saying? And so, not everybody is going to like you. Not even people from your own family or community. See, a lot of people are afraid to go outside of their comfort zone. And they want you all stuck and in the barrel of the crabs. But in the back of my mind, I said, you know, I want more for myself. So I'm pretty much a loner. I do love talking to people. But you know, I really do like my quiet time. I'm a very contemplative person. I love to think deep inside. It's what I've always done. And so I'm okay with it. Because, so you have to know yourself. And not everybody is going to like your independent spirit. Because it's reminding others that they wish that they were able to do those things. A lot of people are afraid to do things by themselves. Yeah, some things I may not want to do alone, but many things I do like to do alone. I love shopping, window shopping by myself. I like going to parks. I love solitude places. It makes me feel comforted and like a little cubby hole, you know. I really like that. But I do also like being in public places. I really enjoy that. So, my experience today is reminding me that the person who's really that can hold you back is not others, but yourself. And that's what I'm learning. that here you have a young lady who's told awful things, but she had a good foundation. See, she went to, she was homeschooled, so she had that strong foundation. And as with me, my foundation was very, very rocky. I'm what they call a slow developer. You know, what do you call it? A late bloomer. Yeah, that's me. So I would say what I'm starting to accomplish now in my life, it's what people who are much, much younger than me are already accomplishing. So, but you know, that's okay too, because it's like a good wine, you know, even though I'm not really a drinker, but some things just, you appreciate it more at a later age. While some people who are very young, like in their late teens or 20s, they've done everything so early in life. They received, you know, these high tech gadgets. Parents give them a lot of money, and then there's nothing else that interests them. And so I think that's why a lot of them do the drugs, because they've done it all, and so, you know, they're bored, and so they do drugs. While with me, I'm a late bloomer, but at my age now, I appreciate the flowers. I appreciate natural beauty. I appreciate when someone shares their heart with you, because that's what life is about. Life is about sharing what you're willing to share to others. It's beautiful. So I thank social media that you too can become an international world citizen. Yes. Yes, that's what it's really about. Being a world citizen and enjoying yourself and enjoying those moments with others. So don't let people, excuse me, don't let white, black, yellow, red, polka dot, don't let people limit you. Don't let people make you feel inferior, because you know, 9 times out of 10, those people who are saying those ugly things to you, that's how they feel about themselves. You hear what I'm saying? They don't like themselves. You're no threat, but they are afraid of you because of their own insecurities. So chin up those people who stayed long enough on this audio file that I'm doing. Yes, you keep your chin up, shoulders back, and be the best you. There is no one better than you. And that's all of us. All of us are our best. We are all beautiful and precious jewels. It's up to us to learn to cut through the foolishness and to create a life for you to enjoy. Yes. So I thank social media to allow, no matter what race or nationality or complexion or hair texture you are, or religion, that you too could make a name for yourself. Make it beautiful, and to share and teach as well. I thank you all for listening and watching. I'm sorry, for listening to this audio file. So, peace and love to all of you. Yes, let's get out there, polish your shoes, comb your hair, put perfume or cologne on, and say, I am going to be my best me. Okay? So take care and have a wonderful evening wherever where you are on this planet. Bye-bye.